I went on active duty in the Army and had various roles throughout my time. I initially didn't think that I was going to stay in. I was going to do 3 years and get out. But the Army kept giving me new leadership opportunities that were interesting, to include serving in the Gulf War under General Pagonis as a general's aide and seeing how we did the joint fight. I was an academy professor at the United States Military Academy and taught there for 3 years. I had an assignment where I did training with industry with General Motors in Detroit, Michigan. And I ended up in my career for the last several years as a technology integrator. My final assignment was the U.S. Central Command. So I worked in a joint staff and I facilitated urgent technology transition into the warfight. So I would deploy downrange, find out where we had material gaps, and bring things in like add-on armor, which became a multi-billion-dollar project, or increase the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, or help our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines survive IEDs. And so that was a very fulfilling and challenging career that kept me in longer than I had thought. I went to interview with Jim Costler and Barb Ewing and said, hey, I'm going to have a business, I want to make widgets. And Jim Costler said, with all your experience, did you ever consider consulting and trying to help the university and America Makes and other entities do business and tech transition with the Department of Defense? And I said no, and that's what I started doing it. And it's been 10 years now, and we've grown the business of helping the area, nonprofit partners like Youngstown Business Incubator, America Makes, Youngstown State University, industry partners, accelerate technical transition and capability into the Department of Defense. I can help everybody on the front end, whether we're drafting a grant upon advanced research for additive manufacturing going into the DOD industrial base, or some other technology going into DOD as a value, or to an original equipment manufacturer like Ford Motor Company. So I think I understand the processes, the language, and having deployed multiple times in the war front, you understand how material solutions enable soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to accomplish their mission and ideally come home safely. The relationship between manufacturers and the Department of Defense is important because it's just like any relationship, whether it's an interpersonal relationship in a family or relationships between businesses. And the more we have cross-pollination and people moving, say, from Youngstown State University into a government engineering job, or professors who've had experience working with DOD or original equipment manufacturers, that dialogue builds relationships upon which we can then have business value. And then we start to understand what their needs are, and we decide, okay, do we want to help them with their needs? And it closes the gap in a community that hasn't traditionally worked on defense projects.
For over a century, Farmers National Bank has stood strong. Through booms and busts, peaks and valleys, we've learned to know the seasons and how to grow in each of them. During challenging times, everyone is reminded of the value of solid relationships in both life and business. Farmers, stand strong.